Breaking news now. Putin's supposed memory loss at a conference raised concerns. While addressing the Valdai Discussion Club's annual meeting in Sochi, Russian President Vladimir Putin made a few gaffes that have since sparked debate online. Putin, who said Russia wants to build a new world, messed up a very simple Russian saying, seemed to forget the name of a person he was asked about just months ago, and contradicted himself when talking about the existence of private military companies, PMCs, in the country. During the meeting, Putin addressed Michel's accusation that Russia betrayed the Armenian people on October 3, when Michel was chairman of the European Council and made the statement. According to Michel, Russia abandoned Nagorno-Karabakh when Azerbaijan launched a short military offensive last month, forcing the ethnic Armenian population to flee to neighboring Armenia. It's a proverb among us that goes something like, "Whose horse would moo, but yours would be silent." Before he was interrupted and corrected by the moderator of the discussion, Putin said, before he was corrected by Putin. A cow, as Lukyanov explained, cow or horse, it makes no difference. Short of an animal, the president finished, laughing off his gaffe. This Russian proverb is often used in rebuttal to accusations, and it is directed at those who speak hastily and harshly. If you want an English translation, think of the idiom "the pot calling the kettle black." At the same Sochi meeting, Putin denied knowing Boris Kagarlitsky, a Russian sociologist and Kremlin critic who was arrested on July 26 on charges of justification of terrorism and faces up to 7 years in prison. That's despite Putin making a statement about his detention a few days later. On Thursday, when asked to release Kagarlitsky, Putin said, "To be honest, I don't know who Kagarlitsky is. I'll take a look at your paper and get back to you. I swear." The Russian leader also made more inconsistencies when discussing the presence of PMCs in Russia. He claimed that several thousand ex-members of the Wagner Group of the PMC had signed contracts with the Russian Ministry of Defense. Later on, he clarified that PMCs have never existed in Russia. Putin's stance on mercenaries and their use in Russia has changed several times. The Wagner Group's former commander, Andrei Troshev, met with Putin on September 29, and the Kremlin announced that they discussed the creation of volunteer units that can perform various combat tasks in Ukraine. After an uprising and march on Moscow on June 24 led by the group's late leader Yevgeny Prigozhin, Putin declared in July that the Wagner Group does not exist under Russian law and that it would be absorbed into the Russian Defense Ministry. The Kremlin had denied knowledge of the Wagner Group's existence prior to their involvement in the conflict in Ukraine. According to the Kremlin, mercenaries are illegal under Russian law, and private military security firms are not allowed to operate outside of Russia. A few days after Prigozhin's rebellion, Putin reversed course and admitted to fully funding the Wagner Group and its operations. It was reported by the Russian newspaper Kommersant that a few weeks later, the Russian president had apparently changed his mind. Putin seemed agitated when asked if the Wagner Group would continue to function as a combat unit. "Well, the Wagner Group does not exist." Putin reportedly said this to Kommersant. The Russian leader reportedly stated that PMCs operate legally in Russia. His comments about PMCs in Russia on Thursday were similarly incoherent.